What's up, Weirdo Swarm? You are listening to another episode of Podagon Infinity, the podcast that opens the door to all things King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. My name is Joe.
And my name is Spenser. Another in-person recording, Joe. Always
Yes.
feels nice to see you across the way here as we record.
Yes, we are.
A little bit of a different format, though, this time around. No album discussion, no real big whopper here that we're talking about, but just kind of an all-encompassing, reading some messages and talking about some upcoming shows. So this episode will be a little bit different from our normal format, but what do you say we get into it a little bit?
Yeah, this is also going to be a much shorter one than usual, and I know usually when we say that, we end up sitting here and talking for 2.5 hours, but I literally have a time limit today, so it can't be that long. It's going to be probably an hour or less, so yeah, we're just going to kind of freeform some discussions on some different things. We have, first of all, some messages from some listeners, some of you people out there. You reached out and gave us your thoughts on Eyes Like the Sky, which of course was the last album that we discussed on the previous episode of the show. So we're going to start off with that, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming shows. This is of course going to be our last episode before the upcoming shows, the orchestral tour that is starting very soon. We are fortunate enough to be getting the start of that tour in our home city of Philadelphia. So, of course, you and I, Spenser, will be at that show. And we're also going to take a little drive north to see the rock show in Forest Hills the following weekend. So this episode will be out before both of those shows, and then the next episode, of course, is going to be us talking about the shows after and what we ended up getting and if our hopes and dreams came true, if they were everything we wanted them to be. So we're going to get into all of that, but what do you say we first start off with these messages from our listeners about Eyes Like the Sky?
Absolutely. So all of our listener messages and comments actually came via X, as they relate to Eyes Like the Sky, at least. We'll start off with @JadenSleeps, who says, Eyes Like the Sky is one of my favorites from them, honestly. The Western theming is really well done, and I love the story being told. Drum Run is probably my favorite track because of how tense it feels. Yeah, we did talk about that one a little bit when we got to that point on that album. There is definite tension on that one as well as a couple of the other tracks, which couple listeners also did chime in on other specific tracks. We'll get along to the comments here. Another quick short one that I'll follow up with here. @Heim Warlock says, really good listen, but it's hard to come back to due to it basically being an audiobook. I do agree with that because it's not really like listening to a traditional album or traditional music in the same sense as, literally any other album in the discography, because it's a inherently different format entirely.
Yeah, I feel similarly. It definitely is, we definitely touched on the fact that it is pretty much an audiobook, but sometimes I just get in the right mood for it, and sometimes it can be nice in the right moment.
Oh, yeah.
@BellPetsDucks says, love it. The Godman's Goat Lust has got to be one of my faves because it's the most sickly and evil story within the album. When the drums enter has to be one of my favorite parts of the song and album. The last line, the Godman's body was found, but he was not missed, goes hard. Indeed it does, my friend. Need more albums like this from them. Eyes Like the Sky, Murder of the Universe, and the secret PDA song, Petro song, have to be the greatest things I've heard. If we were to get another album like this, Leah Sr. could continue or craft a new story out of this as a narrator. It'd be awesome. Totally, yeah. I would love to see her return, and I would love to see more of this just kind of narrative story kind of thing going on, especially Murder of the Universe is great because not every song has that narration. There's plenty of just good-ass music, and there's still plenty of singing and actual choruses and hooks and all this stuff from Stu on top of it. So that's a perfect kind of in-between of everything where you have this narrated story, but it's not full-on audiobooky,
Right. Quick aside, have you listened to Dawn of Eternal Night, that vinyl exclusive Petro track?
I actually don't think I have still. And I remember I meant to before covering our album discussion of Petro. And I think I touched on that in the episode. I was like, I meant to listen to this, but I didn't. So I'm going to have to go back and do it now. But you know what? At this point, I'm just going to wait till I own the vinyl and hear it the way it was intended, I guess. So,
yeah,
no.
I listened to it on YouTube because somebody posted a while back. It is spooky. You got that.
Yeah.
That's one that I feel like you have to listen to on a dark October night in the middle of #spooky season to get that full effect. Maybe light some candles in the house.
Listen to Dawn of Eternal Night at 3 a.m. challenge.
Yeah. Oh God. Okay, moving on. Next comment comes from a Sakabambapsis official. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I am so sorry. They say the vinyl is Nickelodeon VHS orange, and I think that's pretty cool with the heart emoji. Dude, that is getting into some real like niche kind of millennial
nostalgia,
nostalgia.
There, yeah.
I remember, that bright orange plastic VHS. That did you own any of those growing up?
I don't know. I know I had like a couple seasons of SpongeBob on VHS and maybe among some other things, but I don't know if any of them were orange. But I can picture exactly what they're talking about. I've definitely seen them somewhere.
Couple other quickies to follow up that one. At Mindmaster1337 chimes in once again saying, it's just okay. If it was instrumental, I'd listen to it more often. That's also fair. I think for me personally, I have a nice little surf playlist that I have on streaming that has all the like Dick Dale and the Ventures and all those. This stuff would fit right in with those songs, I think. It would be really cool if the band would release one day an instrumental version of that. Who knows? They did it with Paper Mache eventually. Yeah. But Gen Z chimes in also saying, favorite song's got to be Sam Cherry's Last Shot. I don't I don't know if this is a joke or if this is just this is my favorite song from the band, which that's although an off-the-wall choice, not a bad choice. That is a very fun song.
I think they're playing around a little bit, but obviously we did touch on that song because that was kind of the first time they did something like that. It's very much like a precursor to this whole album. It has broad narrating on it. It's a Western themed psych rock song, so sure, we'll just include it. It's part of the album.
Why not?
At A_Venera5, it has some of the best, if not the best riffs in all of KG's discography. Those are some big words right there. I mean, I respect your love and appreciation of it. I can't fully agree with that, but I appreciate your enthusiasm, and I'm glad you love it.
We love boldness, and we love hot takes here on the show.
Right.
So, hey, why not? Go for
it's
it.
Good.
Go for it. Yeah, swing for the fences, people. At Mullet_Spirit says, I never listened to it, but at the same time, I think it's such a creative and interesting album, and it deserves more credit than it's sometimes given within the fan base. Yeah, it gets buried easily because it came out so long ago, and we know 12 years in Gizz years is like 100 years practically for otherwise. and just because of the oddball concept and its shorter length, it does just all those factors make it get buried very easily. But like you were saying earlier, Joe, when you're in the right mood for it, when you're in the right mindset for it, it just tickles that certain part of your brain.
Yeah, exactly. At Soy Gem Party, it's actually one of my favorite albums by them. I like the story even though it's a bit weird sometimes. The soundtrack is pretty awesome too. It makes me want actual audiobooks like it. Yeah, as someone personally who's not a big reader, I have enjoyed some audiobooks lately. Spotify I already use, and they over the course of the last year or two, added a whole audiobook category, and there's a ton of books to listen to on there now. Actually, one of them, I mentioned Red Dead Redemption on the last episode. One of them was a history book that takes stuff from the game and compares it to how things actually were at the time and sort of the historical accuracies and inaccuracies of the game, which is really cool. But yeah, I think I might need to look into more Western audiobooks. Maybe would give me the same kind of feel as this. I don't think any of them would have this kick-ass soundtrack behind them or any soundtrack at all, but one can hope. Who knows what I'll be able to find out there.
One can certainly hope, yeah, and I would like to think also that, people talk all the time about trying to turn their friends or family into Gizz heads or even trying to get their parents into Gizz a little bit. Part of me wonders if I were to have my grandpa listen to this album, because he grew up in the Southwest in the 50s when all those like old Westerns and shoot 'em ups, which he still watches to this day. I wonder if he could listen to a little chunk of this album, at least maybe a couple of songs, and be like, okay, yeah, that is kind of cool.
Yeah.
That could be a crowning achievement for me as a Gizz head personally, I think.
Right, if you can get your grandpa to listen to Gizz, that's something.
At KitSunEmmy_ says, I like it a lot. I think it was a bold move on their part by making an OST-like album post their debut, but it definitely shows how skilled they already were as musicians and the potential they had as well. It's immersive and the ambiances are so interesting. Getting Broadsmith to narrate it was charming to me because he clearly wasn't American, LOL, so his accent might take some people out of it, but personally I find his voice is great and his previous history with the genre on film. Gizz should revisit it. Yeah, I'm an ELTS defender. Okay, I think you're in the minority there, KitSunEmmy. personally, I think, in terms of detecting an accent, because other than the one part that we mentioned on the album discussion episode where he says the word stamina at one point, and then there's like an ER that comes up because the next word starts with a vowel also. Other than that, I did not detect 1 ounce of Australian accent. But hey, if you're picking up on something, I'm curious to know where exactly you're picking up on that. Maybe we can hear it with different ears after that.
Yeah, the first time I listened to it, I didn't know it was Ambrose's dad. I didn't know that it was even an Australian man. I had no clue going into it. I just figured they got some old American guy to do this for them. So I never really detected any of it. So, but hey, I'm glad you're a big fan of the album, and definitely deserves all that love. At Idiot Lizard says, at King Gizzard, please make more Cowboy stuff. I like that. Yeah, please do make more Cowboy stuff. There's actually part of our discussion we're going to have in a little bit that maybe we could connect to some, I don't know, Western, Southern Cowboys.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm on to anything here or not, but
I think so.
I don't know. Okay, maybe there is more Cowboy stuff. We don't really know. But yeah, I hope so too. You know, though there was the discussion previously of like, will they do like a country album after B741, and that wasn't anything. So, but maybe they'll take all that hype and bring it back and do something a little different in the same sort of vein. At Ebb and Flow 98. Perfect to pair with playing Red Dead Redemption 2. Not to mention the title track is one of the most sonically powerful intros to an album they have made, in my opinion. Awesome. I'm glad at least someone out there is in the same boat with me, Red Dead fan, who totally feels how fitting the vibe of this album is with playing that game. I was listening to this album a lot around the time of me being deeply entrenched in that game for like 6 months or however long I was like playing it for, getting through the story and just whatever, just losing so many hours to it. So glad you are in the same boat. And that being one of the most sonically powerful intros, I think just in the terms of like how appropriate and fitting it is and perfect it is for what the entire album is, I would agree. But just in general of like just the sound of it, I don't know. There's definitely some other strong contenders out there.
Yeah, you can certainly make an argument either for or against, and yeah, it is very appropriate for the topic, but and the subject matter of the album. But I will have to say though, Joe, I really do appreciate and enjoy how many people like this album and who actually have it surprisingly high in their personal album rankings, honestly. We, of course, and this is going to be a long build-up eventually on the show, but we will eventually do an album rankings episode. We still have a handful more albums to cover yet, but when we eventually get there, it's going to be exciting. I imagine we're going to ask for some of your input on, like, you know, what are your favorite albums? What's in your top 5? What's near the bottom? Maybe we'll interpolate some data, make some fun little infographics or charts.
Right.
This is my brain just on overdrive and 3 cups of coffee, but I think that could all be fun to do one day. Okay, that is all for the comments on X and all for the comments that we have on Eyes Like the Sky. We have one more comment otherwise that is on a slightly different topic, but a very important and very topically relevant one recently. On Instagram, FloatAlongFYL says, y'all need to discuss the potential Gizz and Billy Strings studio session next week, which by the time we're recording this and by the time this comes out, it will have already happened. Billy mentioned it in a recent article, would be sick if it happens. Billy was raised on bluegrass, but was in a metal band growing up before pivoting back to bluegrass. I wouldn't be surprised if they cut a studio metal track instead of country. Holy shit, a lot packed into a small paragraph there, but really cool stuff, though, so let's unpack it. First of all, Joe, have you ever listened to Billy Strings?
I think I've had some of his music come up on Spotify just from listening to other things. Like, I never particularly sought him out or listened to full albums or anything. Actually, I think he might have been one of the artists that came up after listening to 12 Golden Country Greats by Ween, which is my favorite quote-unquote country album. And I can almost swear that at least a song or two of his has come up just on autoplay after listening to that. I can't remember what it was. I'd have to go back and find it again, but I know he's been someone that's been gaining quite a lot of popularity over the last couple years, really gaining some traction, and I keep hearing his name get brought up a lot, especially in regards to his relationship with Gizz, because he has stated before, there was a post going around when Billy had said, like, he was asking in an interview of what artists he'd love to collaborate with, and he was like, I want to jam with Gizz. Like, that's specifically what he said. And so people were all, freaking out and posting that everywhere and be like, oh my God, they need to do something together. So I need to listen to more of his music, however, and I'm definitely going to now, but I just love the idea of a bluegrass musician collaborating with the band. And also, if he was in a metal band as well, then he's already got a varied kind of style and ability that he could play around with. So I'm down for whatever comes out of this, honestly. Like, whatever they could possibly do together would be crazy and interesting no matter what.
Totally agreed. Yeah. And as for me, I've listened to exactly 6 Billy Strings songs in my life, and that's because I listened to them all just the other day at work, like 2 or 3 days ago. I listened to his self-titled debut EP, and that came out in like summer of 2016. From the first song on the album, which is Slow Train, I really dug the vibe, the kind of fiddle and acoustic guitar and like the banjo or whatever is in there. I was kind of listening to it while I worked. I wasn't paying super close attention, but I do remember absolutely digging it. Generally speaking, I do want to start diving into more of his stuff. But yeah, clearly the two fan bases have substantial overlap. I've always seen people on the subreddit just like talk about, oh, they should do a collab together one day. And I think there was a comment also when Billy Strings had a baby. I think he reached out to Stu after Stu and his wife had their daughter recently, like advice on being a dad. And so there was definitely some interplay, some crossover, some cross-pollination. Whether or not that eventually amounts to an album or a collab officially, who knows? But there was an Instagram reel the other day of Billy Strings playing a microtonal acoustic guitar. He was playing some cool riffs, and everybody in the Gizz community online was sharing that. So, I mean, sky's the limit for both of these artists, clearly. Who knows if we'll get anything, but I know that people who are out there scouring the interwebs for little snippets of this and that, even if there is no official release, that somebody's going to uncover something that's pretty fun in some way, right?
Yeah, on top of that video of him playing the microtonal guitar, there was also some videos that I think were on the band's official Instagram page on their story just the other night of them at Billy's show. Because he's, like we were saying, he's playing a couple shows in Australia right now, and that's why they're together. So it was like all of them at his concert right up front in the front row, like taking videos of themselves going crazy and everything. So they're obviously having a good time and have a good relationship with him. So yeah, we're looking forward to whatever, if anything, may come out of this.
All right, so the other thing we wanted to discuss here on the show on this episode is that we've kind of been thinking over time about what songs we're hoping to see or think that we might see at the upcoming shows we're attending. We're, of course, as we've stated on the show previously, we're going to the Philadelphia Orchestral Show on Monday, July the 28th, as well as Saturday, August the 2nd up in Queens, New York. That is night 2 of Forest Hills for Gizz.
It's the rock show.
Yeah, that's the rock show. And so we honestly felt we needed to get a little bit of a taste of like the real traditional Gizz after we bought the orchestral seats. So we've been kind of casually, loosely tossing about some songs that we think are maybe feasible in an orchestral sense, and then, of course, like in the traditional rock sense that we maybe hope to see on that following show that we're attending. So, Joe, any thoughts and ideas as far as songs that you hope to see or that you think we'll see that come to mind?
Yeah, well, to start off, touching on the orchestral show that we're going to, obviously we know that they are playing Phantom Island in full at all of these shows, so that's an easy one I could put my money on right there, is that we're going to hear this whole album with the orchestra live. But I believe, and I was trying to find the post last night where they said this, I think it might have been when they very first announced that all this was happening, but I was having trouble finding it. But I feel like they also said they were going to play some other songs as well on top of just that album, that there was going to be more than just that. So I don't know for sure, but I'm hoping we at least get a handful, 5 to 10 other songs as well on top of that album. And I'm thinking more than anything that they're going to play B741 tracks. And maybe just B741 tracks. I don't know, maybe some other stuff thrown in as well. We kind of touched on this a bit a few months back where we talked about what songs we think would be most fitting transformed into an orchestral setting. And so there's a lot of songs that we already discussed back then that I hope to hear. Some of the ones that I think I mentioned included like just big epic songs like Crumbling Castle and whatever else I had in there. Go back and listen to it. But obviously my hopes are to hear some big, like, classic epic Gizz songs that exist that people always love hearing live anyway, but transformed into this orchestral soundscape. But my main prediction is that they're more than likely going to play B741 stuff added in there, just because of the nature of how those songs were all created together. The Phantom Island tracks were essentially just extra stuff from the studio that they ended up getting the orchestra added onto and whatever from there. I don't have any particular... I really wanted to try to come up with what B741 songs I think would fit in the most, or maybe fit in between certain Phantom Island songs perfectly. I don't have any specifically written down that I could come up with. However, one that stands out to mind I think would be Mirage City. I think Mirage City is the most Phantom Island fitting from B741, and of course there's a lot. They all kind of have that same sort of old school rock sound, whatever, but Mirage City being a little bit more, at least the first half of it or so, a little more chill, I think could have some strings added in there and be kind of a big, really pretty sounding kind of thing. So yeah, I think there's going to be some B741 tracks layered in between here and there, kind of breaking up Phantom Island in places where they can fit in.
Sure, yeah. I didn't really think of it from that angle, so I'm glad that you brought that different perspective to the table, but I think you are correct that Mirage City out of the 10 on B741 probably would make the most sense.
It sounded like you said Mirage Shitty.
Mirage Shitty. Oh, sorry. No, far from. No, we love that song. In fact, it was in both of our top 3, I think, for that episode.
Mm-hmm.
So... yeah, I think that would be the fit that would make the most sense. Ultimately, we'll find out for sure in just over a week now. Got 10 days from the day that we're recording here on the 18th.
I think I bought the tickets back in February, March, something like that when they first went on sale.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was locked into that as soon as they were available in one of the pre-sales or whatever. But yeah, wow, we're here. How the time has flown.
I went through the pains of actually making short wish list / small list of songs that I think are reasonably
Spenser prepared
feasible.
a little bit more than me. I'm just kind of going off the dome, but you have actual notes, so I want to hear what you've got and what you're thinking about for these.
Clearly, I had a little too much time on my hands this past week, but here's what I have, and I tried to touch on a few different subgenres of Gizz. First on my list, Converge into Witchcraft. I wanted to get something metal in there.
Wait, is this for the orchestral show or
this for the orchestral show?
Yeah. Okay, all right.
So Converge into Witchcraft, I think would be from their metal output. I think could be one of the coolest ones, and I think selfishly we would both love to hear that one in some
I'd go
sense
nuts. Yep.
live. Thea could be interesting.
Ooh.
They've toyed around with that both in an acoustic setting, like they opened the Detroit show with that.
I'm wearing my Detroit acoustic show shirt right now. Yeah, they opened with that. That blew my mind. I did not expect that. So, yeah.
And also on their recent European tour, they did a kind of a guitar-powered version of it.
Yeah, like a regular kind of rock version of it. Yeah.
Which was cool. And so we've heard those guitar-based versions of Thea, so maybe this could work too, just with the sweeping majesty of Thea. It could be a cool track.
Totally.
An old favorite is also on my list, Trapdoor. We of course have long enjoyed that song. Paper Mache was one of the first albums I got into after you introduced me to the banjo, and Trapdoor just became one of our favorite melodies to hum.
Yeah,
it's just that and because of course the flute would fit right in with the orchestral setting. There's also like that kind of growling cello sound at the very beginning before things ramp up.
Yeah, it's definitely got a handful of elements that the orchestra could just take the role of and recreate like that.
Yeah. A couple others that I have here as far as what would fit in an orchestral show. God is in the Rhythm, which I think we discussed before as well.
Oh, that was one of mine. That was one of my number one picks.
March 16th, 2018, the last time that was played live, and but who's counting?
Yeah,
only the whole fan base.
Yep.
But I know we're not the only ones who are hoping to see them bust that one out live. The orchestral setting would be fucking insane.
Yeah.
Of a time for them to bring that one back.
That would just be beautiful. Oh my God. Yeah, I think I would have chills all over my body and cry, and everyone would have to see that.
And finally, I think something off of Ice Death Planet's Lungs, Mushrooms, and Lava I knew that I had to work into my wish list for an orchestral show. Mycelium is my selection from that. Just think about that, like the happy bounciness and how the strings and the woodwinds and the brass could like interplay with each other.
I'm picturing that, and also the strings doing like some staccato, just kind of plucks, like, or what's the word you used last time?
I think it's staccato. Yeah.
Well, staccato just means like quick without holding out the note.
Pizzicato.
Pizzicato is the I think the particular style. You brought that up on our Phantom Island reaction episode. So I could picture like that, the pizzicato plucks and whatnot, some brass and woodwinds and stuff kind of fluttering around in there, that bouncy sort of rhythm. I think that would be really fun, and that was one of the ones you mentioned before, I think, on our picks for best orchestral versions of the song. I think we did that episode right after they like officially announced everything or whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Anywho, doesn't matter. Anywho.
So those were some of the songs that I had like for what we might hear at the orchestral show or what we maybe hope to hear in that setting. Now let's go to a few of the traditional rock show selections, at least for what I'm hoping to hear. I'm sure you probably have some ideas in your head too.
Yeah.
I need to hear Dripping Tap and Head on Pill. Those are a couple of the ones that are top of my list.
Mm-hmm. Head on Pill would definitely be up there for me. Dripping Tap would be great as well. My only issue with that is sometimes they draw that shit out even longer than it is on the studio album.
They do.
And so it might just take up too much time where other songs could be, and I might just get a little fatigued as well. Like, it might just be like, sometimes when they play songs for that long, like at first I'm super hyped because I'm like, oh yeah, like they're playing this song, whatever. And I'm into it for like a few minutes. And then I start to get just kind of fatigued of like, okay, well now I'm just kind of wondering what's next. Like, this is cool. And like they're shredding and they're going crazy. But then I'll get back into it again and be like, oh, well now they're really doing something kind of different. So I don't know. For me, it's like a little bit of ups and downs with the really long songs, but it would still be hype. I wouldn't be mad about it. I would go nuts to it. But for me, I mostly just have in mind a lot of heavy stuff that I want to hear at the rock show. Specifically, you mentioned for the orchestral show, Converge into Witchcraft, but I want to hear two songs that I haven't gotten to hear live yet from that same album. I want to hear Witchcraft into Gila Monster. I think would be even more up my alley. Last year we got to hear Dragon into Flamethrower, which was really cool. But for me, like, my two favorite songs off that album are Witchcraft and Gila Monster. Another close one is Motor Spirit as well, would kind of go crazy hard as well. But if I could have any two, it would be Witchcraft and Gila Monster. As well as I would love to hear some more stuff from Murder of the Universe, I think. The very first time I saw them, I got to hear some of it. They did sort of a little bit of the Altered Beast suite, so that was really cool, and Leah Senior was there at that show doing the narration live, so that was crazy. But I really want to hear some more stuff from the latter third of the album, specifically the whole Hantayumi section of the album. I think Digital Black would go absolutely crazy. That's one of my favorites, and just goes really hard. So that, maybe like the whole Hantayumi suite, or at least like maybe like 2 or 3 tracks from it would be enough to satisfy me. That would be cool. And another big one for both of us, I think I could speak for both of us when I say this, but we've still never gotten to hear anything from Fishing for Fishies live. So
fuck yeah.
I've brought this up so many times, but like literally just anything from that album. If they could debut the title track itself and finally play that live, that would be kick-ass. But if they could at least give us like a Boogeyman Sam, a Cool Millennial, This Thing, any of those would go hard, and I'd be very happy to hear. So just anything, any little morsel from that fucking record, please.
Especially any of those songs from that album where Ambi really gets to wail on the harmonica. Yeah, I of course had Fishies on my short list here, but yeah, like you said, Cruel Millennial or Boogeyman Sam would also be welcome. They do bust those out.
Yeah.
Fishies, I get it. People have said that Stu supposedly can't really fully reach that higher register. He can still do, like, I think in small spurts he can reach that higher register a little bit, but as far as like a full song, understandable if now that many years have passed that his voice can't quite get up there for a full song, maybe you tune it down a half step or something to make it a little more easier for him
they
to
could
achieve.
Transpose it,
Whatever.
maybe play it in a lower key or something. I don't know, anything. Just give it to me. I just need it. I don't care.
Or maybe it becomes like a slightly extended instrumental jam or something. I don't know. Like, like almost any form. I would take
yeah.
it.
Even if they just played part of it, kind of mixed into another song, like even a tease, anything.
I want to wrap this up, at least my thoughts here, for what would be cool to see in the traditional rock sense, or I guess in this case, electronic sense. Shanghai and Gandhi. Shanghai just, I mean, everybody loves it. I don't know a single person who doesn't like Shanghai. And Gandhi, we talked in passing a little bit about the Boston show from last year, posted on the streaming services by Bootleg Gizzard. That profile just continues to be such a godsend for all those live shows being posted so quickly. But that was a show that I came upon because just of its eclectic set list. They open with Gandhi, and I think either Stu and the guys missed their cue to start singing, or the tech in charge of potting up the microphones didn't get to it in time because you don't hear the first few words of the vocals.
It was
they stumbled into it a little bit, but it went on to be really cool though.
Yeah. I remember listening to that after you had told me about. There was a couple things from that show that we had talked about before, and so I listened to it. Yeah, it was a little messy. It felt like it could use a little work. I would love to hear that song live. I love that track. That's definitely one of my favorites from Changes. And so I think that would be super cool to hear, but hopefully maybe they rehearsed it a little bit more or whatever, get it a little tighter for the next time around.
And I'm sure they have, because they've come so far with, now that Nathan the synth table has become Nathaniel, thank you very much.
Yeah,
he's like 3 times as big as it previously was.
And he's wearing a suit and stuff now with all this stuff going on. You know what? Speaking of Nathaniel, I just had a thought I wanted to bring up about that. I wonder if we're going to see any Nathan at all at that Forest Hills Rock show, because there was that little thing from the AMA where people asked about, like, are they going to keep doing that as a regular thing, or was that just kind of for this tour and whatever? And one of them, I think it was Stu, made the comment about, like, oh, we're retiring after this year or something like that, which we weren't sure if that was like just a joke about the band itself retiring, or if it was a comment on retiring the synth table as a regular thing. I don't know, but I feel like it's become, I almost said it's become kind of beloved at this point, and people, I think a lot of people look forward to it. But I'm just curious because also of the fact that this Forest Hills show, you know, of course there's the orchestral one, and then there's this other one being specifically branded and labeled as rock show. I almost wonder if maybe they leave it out for that one and just kind of do more of a traditional, just heavy Gizz stuff without all the synths. I don't know.
Yeah, you raise a fair and interesting point, and part of me would certainly be disappointed if we didn't get to hear that side of it, but ultimately, if we get to hear them rock the fuck out, otherwise, no complaints there.
Yeah, I think for me, I like it the best when they sort of use a mix of the synth table and guitar and other stuff at the same time. That's my favorite sound and way for them to do things, because when it's fully on the synth table and with the electronic drums and everything, I don't know, it's cool, but it just doesn't hit the same. But when you have Cavs behind his regular kit and like maybe Cookie's still on guitar, Lukey's still on bass, and then it's just like Stu and Joey and Ambi tooling around on the synths or whatever, any combination of them, I think that's when it really hits, because you get these nice layers of, you know, 2 or 3 synthesizers, but then still the impact and the rockiness, I guess, of like the drums and distorted electric guitar and real bass or whatever. So I really like that the best. So yeah, I think that's what I would be most happy to see, is like they bring it out, but they don't spend too much time on just the synth table itself. They just kind of blend it in with other instruments into other songs. And so that way we could still get some stuff, like maybe some more Butterfly stuff like Shanghai or any others. Catching Smoke, please. I'm still praying for that one to be debuted. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that would be awesome for them to still do some of the more electronic songs that way. Thinking about predictions for these upcoming shows kind of had me come up with a fun idea that I think we should give a shot at, and maybe we could put this out on social media or whatever for other people to share around. But I love the idea of creating a predictions bingo board for these upcoming shows, and specifically for the shows that we're going to. Maybe we can make it could be just for one or the other. I think the orchestral show would be the more interesting one to make predictions on, since it's totally new territory. But I'm sure there's a website or something we could create this on. I haven't done it yet, but I just thought of this last night, and I thought it'd be fun to bring this up now. I didn't tell you about it ahead of time. But I'm thinking maybe we do like a first orchestral show in Philly, prediction bingo board, and I'm thinking some stuff like one panel saying like Stu wears a suit or something like that, or like one of the guys does this or wears this or plays X song or whatever. So I think that's a fun idea. I would love to do something like that. So keep an eye out for that on our socials, and you can play along as well. And I don't know if we're gonna kind of shuffle it and create multiple different versions of it, or what. I don't know how we're going to do it. I'm just kind of saying this as to get it out there as something I want to do that I think would be fun, so we can all sort of play along and see what happens at those shows.
Yeah, sure. We could do something fun like that. So yeah, keep an eye out on our socials like Joe said. And if you have any cool ideas, or if you have any thoughts or hopes or predictions for what you hope to hear at any of the upcoming shows, let us know. PodagonInfinity@gmail.com or @PodagonInfinity on the socials.
I also just wanted to mention, speaking of these shows, that I am going to be making an appearance at both the meetup ahead of the Philly show and the meetup the day of the Forest Hills Rock Show, which Spenser will be there with me as well. You can't make it to the Philly meetup, which is the Sunday, the day before the show, but I'm going to be there. That Philly one is at Fat Lady Brewing in the Manayunk section of Philadelphia, starting at 12 p.m. That's 7/27, the day before the show. So it's just going to be me there, but if any of you are coming to the show and are able to make it to the meetup ahead of time, look for me, come say hi. I'm planning on doing what I did for the shows last year, or at least the Detroit show I went to last year, which is bringing a little portable audio recorder with me and talking to some other fans of the band, getting your thoughts on everything. So if you're interested in having a little chat with me and being on that next episode of the show post concerts, then come find me there and come have a chat. It'll be fun.
Yeah, and for that and the New York show, I think we're going to try and do a little fit check post on the socials beforehand so you know what we're wearing, so you can spot us easily.
Yeah.
And in either case, if you see Joe at the Philly meetup, by the way, Manayunk, if you're coming from out of town and have never been to the Philly area, Manayunk's a really cool, walkable neighborhood, all kinds of bars and restaurants and little shops.
You can hang out there all day. There's plenty of stuff to do around there. On top of the meetup, you could go get a nice dinner somewhere nearby after or anything. Really cool area.
Yeah, so we do look forward to hopefully seeing some of you, maybe chatting a little bit over a beer or something at either or both of the shows. So hit us up if you see us. Don't be afraid to come say hi. Maybe take a quick picture with us or something.
Yeah, and I'll also say, since I mentioned the date and time and place of that meetup, the Forest Hills meetup that we are both going to be attending is on August 2nd at a place called Cobblestones, which I think from what I understand is pretty close to the venue. I think somebody said online it's only like a mile or so from Forest Hills Stadium. So that should be cool. I'm excited to check that out as well. I haven't been up to New York in a long time. So if you're up there as well, try to find us. And we'll post something on our stories ahead of time of what we're wearing or whatever to make us stand out so you can come find us. And that one is also at 12 p.m., but that's the day of that show. So hope to meet some of you listeners there. That would be super cool.
Yeah, hit us up. Okay, Joe, let's hit it for most of what we like.
Most of what we like.
Alrighty, most of what we like is a segment we like to do towards the end of almost every episode. Not everyone. Sometimes we do it, sometimes we don't. But most of what we like is where we like to touch on some other forms of media, non-Gizz related, that we are enjoying right now, whether it be some albums, a TV show, a movie, a book, anything like that. So, Spenser, what have you been digging lately?
This is something super niche and super local, actually. A group that appears to be calling themselves Pajamies from Doylestown, Pennsylvania, not too far from where we live.
Shout out.
They put out a single actually late last summer entitled Apple Fritter, and it's instrumental. It has some cool like Wurlitzer piano. It almost sounds like it would fit right in on Changes, perhaps. But it's a really cool, vibey, kind of 70s sounding thing. But I guess this is a group that's kind of been together since their high school days, but they're very, like I said, hyper local. And I don't know if they plan to put out an album or anything in the near future, but I just dug this track so much as you might be interested in XYZ that the algorithm suggested to me, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. I wish they had more than just the one song out, so I really do hope to see or hear more from them. That is about all I have for most of what we like today, but Joe, what do you have?
Nice. Unfortunately, I don't have any small-scale local people I could shout out or anything like that, but send me a link to that album or something. I want to check that out. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Especially if it's good. I love to support local artists and everything like that. So cool find there. As for me, this is a much bigger artist and a totally different genre and everything. I shouted out some new rap I was checking out last week or last show, but I have some more this time as well. Clips. There's a new album from rap duo Clips, which is made up of Pusha T and Malice, who are brothers that are both rappers. They have been around, I don't know, since sometime in the 90s, I think, and they made a ton of music together for years. And then I don't know if they had a falling out or what. I don't know the whole story, but they didn't make any music as Clips for a very long time. Pusha T's gone on to have a ton of success himself, and I believe Malice has had some as well. I'm just not as familiar with his work, but Pusha T has a handful of albums that I'm a big fan of, and he's collaborated with a lot of other artists as well. But after all this time, they have reunited to make a new album along with some great features and a lot of fantastic production work and features from Pharrell Williams, who just seems to be all over everything in the world of hip hop and R&B and he touches everything. But most things he touches do turn out pretty damn good. So the new album, Let God Sort 'Em Out by Clips, is something I've been really into lately. As of recording this, I think it just came out a week ago, last Friday. So really cool stuff. I'm still kind of like listening to it more and more. I've listened to it 2 or 3 times all the way through and really digging it. But we have some great features on here from, just to point out a couple, like Kendrick Lamar is on a song, who is my favorite rap artist of all time, and another rapper I'm a big fan of, Tyler, the Creator, is on a track as well, and the song he's on is goes hard as shit. It's good stuff. So if you're into rap, like I am as well, check out the new Clips album. It's good stuff.
So thank you all for listening once again. We don't say this often enough, but first of all, thank you for all your support of the show, and we do encourage you to share the show with a friend that you think might like it, whether it's a pre-existing Gizz head who's a friend of yours, or maybe someone that you think you can get into Gizz. Share them. Share 2 links with them. One, that getintogizz.com website, and then a link to our podcast.
Yes, yeah.
And that'll get
maybe
them set
the very
up.
first, or one of the very first episodes, or maybe the second like actual thing we ever uploaded, which was that Who Are King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. That was our episode 1. Send them that. Maybe be a nice little introduction, and then whatever album you think they'd like most, and get them indoctrinated from there.
We will have our 1-year podcast anniversary coming up, by the way, on that topic, Thursday, July 31st.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Holy shit, a year?
Right.
What the hell? Dude, that just tripped me out so much.
Right?
What the
So
hell?
we'll have to have so at the Forest Hills show, one of our, maybe our first round of beers will have to be cheers to us on 1 year's successful podcasting.
Yeah.
Dude,
totally.
It's been a hell of a ride, and we're not stopping anytime soon, so no worries. We're still going, and we love how many of you have hopped on board, way more than we could have ever imagined. We're loving it all, so thank you once again. And, that has been episode number 30.
As we said at the top, this is going to be a short episode as well, so I hope you don't mind this being kind of a shorter, looser format than usual. We're going to get back into some more of the albums we have yet to cover yet very soon, but this is a short one. We're very excited about the shows and hope you are just as much as we are. Hope you're able to make it, and if there's one close enough to you, or if you're able to travel. And also our next episode, I already kind of said this earlier, I think, but our next episode is going to be a recap of these shows, hopefully with some more interviews with other fans and stuff like I did last year. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So stay tuned for that, and then we'll get back to regular album business after that. So until next time, my name is Joe.
And my name is Spenser.
Later, Gators.
The next item we want to get to today is what basically amounts to a wish list of shorts. I need some new shorts.
This is shorts.
Eat my shorts.